Hey everyone, so here I have an ASCII donut created by Andy Sloan. It's this really cool piece of code that is pretty much embodied right here. And I'll show you the original in just a second. And so what I did is I said, hey, let's just put it inside of SageBox. It'll be kind of a neat thing to do. ASCII-Art's really cool. So what I want to do is I just want to put it in a nice window and basically run it as is. And so here is the original program, unchanged. I only changed it to compile it. This is the entire program right here, except for one change I had to make. Originally had a printf here to locate the cursor. Microsoft doesn't really work that way. You have to get a handle and then set the cursor position. And so otherwise, this is exactly the same code. And so the idea was, hey, let's put it into SageBox. And so let me show you what this looks like running in a DOS window. So this is the program running in MS-DOS. I don't know why it goes so slow. It's just, I don't think Microsoft, I keep saying MS-DOS, but I mean Microsoft console mode. And so I don't think Microsoft handles this very well in terms of, I don't know if it's the cursor positioning or just the output, but it is pretty slow. But this is what it looks like, is what it would look like on a terminal, just faster. And so let me get back to the implementation I did. So you can see this original code in here. Here's the code it's running right now. And you can see that this code that I put in the window is exactly the same. There's just no changes except for I'm using a separate window, which I'll show in just a second. But first, let me show you what this graphic is. I was originally going to put this out this way and then just let people read it, but I thought I would just go ahead and describe it anyway, all the stuff that's happening very quickly, especially since we're only talking about, I think I've added 15 lines of code to the entire program just to put it in a nice little box and everything. And so let me explain that. So here's the original program. It's exactly the same, but instead of the put character, now if I wanted to put it in the main window, I could do that. I just wanted to put it in a nice window. So if I wanted to do it in the main window, I just wouldn't have to do this. And then the only change to the entire program would be this set position. That's the only change. Everything else is exactly the same. But since I put the window there, I go ahead and did the window. And so let me show you how all that works. And so the CLS is, and it has descriptions for everything, and so you can see what they are. So the CLS basically is the thing that creates the gradient, and then you have the terminal size where it wants an 80 by 25 character terminal size. Usually it's 80 by 24, but I had one just for the buffer, so we don't have to deal with scrolling issues and all that. And then I got the character size, which returns a point, and so it multiplies the font size, the width and height of each character, times 80 and 25 to get the window size for the font. And then I set 80 by 550, which is a totally canned number just to fit on the window here. And then I set the background to black, and that's why you have the black. And you have the border. You can see this add border. That's why you have the border here. And then it does the centering of the window when it creates the child window. So this is where it creates the new window, the ASCII window, and it centers it inside of the X area, so I don't have to place it myself. And then I just say put it 40 pixels down so I can put the title on top. And then I set the background mode to opaque, and I did this way so it's not true or false, so it kind of self-documents. So I set it to opaque because terminal characters want to write over themselves, so the blank spaces overwrite the other spaces, where in graphics, kind of a graphics fundamentals is that they don't do that, so they kind of bleed over each other. And then I set the font, which is Courier 14. I can set a smaller font, which will make a smaller window, which is actually looks pretty nice. And then I set the font, which is a terminal font. Another thing about graphics is fonts, default fonts tend to be like Arial or Times New Roman, and they're proportionally spaced, which means that the donut wouldn't look right because the eyes and the dollar signs and the periods would be much smaller horizontally than the bigger characters like the dollar signs and the @ signs, and so it would look misshapen and weird. And then I create the text widget, and I don't name it. It's just a fire and forget thing where I just throw it out there with the title. I put it 10 pixels down with a Arial 18 font, and then I tell it to center in the window, and then I tell it to be transparent so that it blends with the window instead of having a background. And then I create the close button, which is right here, and I just put the title, and I tell it to center in the X direction, and I just kind of eyeballed where to put it on the Y direction. And I create the text widget for the update count. And so here I'm just kind of giving it a size to work with. So it's never going to be bigger than this, so use this to figure out the size. So I can tell it what size to make it, but I say, hey, just figure it out for me. and create the box, and then make it transparent. And that's another reason I don't have to worry about the size of the box. And then I tell it to give it a foreground of yellow and an Arial 18 font, and then again make it transparent so it blends into the background. And then I set the count to 0, and then I go to the original code, which I've already shown. And then this is where this is the original code right here. And you can see I actually divided these by 2 to make the donut go slower because it was going pretty fast. And then again, I just use the ASCII window to put it out instead of the main window. And then I write the update count to the widget, and so I don't have to worry about managing the background space or where it is or anything like that. And then I say if the close button was pressed or the window's closing, someone presses the X here, go ahead and break out of the loop. I could have put it up here like while these things aren't happening or do while, but I wanted to preserve the original code. And so this is the original code plus about 15 lines of extra code. And then you have the main that just calls it. We could have done this in the console mode and then just called out to the window. I just did it this way so I don't have to put my window dot on everything. It's just an easy way to do it. And so that's pretty much it. That's the whole thing. And so it was kind of a nice thing to do. It preserves the original ASCII thing. And the great thing is that now I have a framework. So when I run across other ASCII art, I can put it in here. I can make a bigger terminal. I can do a lot of what I want. I can convert this into a framework since it uses standard C++. It's all procedural. I can just convert this into a function that has a framework now. And then I can create my own code and just call out to this and say, hey, put this stuff out here. And that is one of the main points of SageBox, is to be able to write code and very quickly and also reuse it. And so this obviously didn't take very much time to import and to change. And that's one of the main points of SageBox, is to be able to write something into a framework and then reuse it. And a lot of the widgets I have, that sort of thing, are made from playing around, doing some project and saying, hey, I can make this into a widget that other people can use. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you around in other videos.